I want to be a winning team. And every day is about stacking success, and I think it's like anything in this game, it's about competition.
His coaching style, intense, focused, energy. I mean, he brings it every single day.
I think Coach obviously has done a nice job kind of getting our legs underneath us. I mean, we're moving pretty good out there.
His energy, how he coaches, and, you want to play for somebody like that.
I still feel strong. I still feel like I could get behind my pads and lower the boom a little bit.
Clear skies and 70 degrees under the mild California sun. The stars are out in Oxnard for the 2021 SoCal Showdown. Welcome in to DallasCowboys.com's interrupted coverage of the 2-hour joint practice between the Los Angeles Rams and your Dallas Cowboys. Live from Oxnard, California, Cowboys Nation has showed out in force. Over 3,000 in attendance for a football practice between two of the NFC's contenders, and they have packed the crowd, packed the stands for about 3 hours leading up until we get this kicked off at 3 o'clock, and we are live from just off the field here at Oxnard, California. Kyle Yeomans alongside Mickey Spagnola and David Hellman to kick things off. We've got 2 full hours of coverage here from Oxnard, and Mickey, it's football again. We got the preseason underway. This is preseason game 1.5 for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a pretty tough schedule for the Cowboys, having played on Thursday at the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. Got back here right at 5 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and now, Dave, they're playing it's not a scrimmage, it's a practice, but it's with another team, so it's kind of a heavy schedule for this team.
You tired already, Mick?
No, not me.
that sounds like what I'm hearing right now.
I slept to almost 8 o'clock this morning.
Wow, that's a lot longer than I slept.
Yeah, no, after that excitement in Canton the other night,
that's
absolutely,
true.
Man.
Absolutely. Dave, what are you thinking about a practice like this? I mean, like Mick said, it's not a scrimmage, but we're going to see close to 90 plays of 11-on-11 action.
I mean, I'm excited, and I'm probably more excited than I was when I first heard about it because, hey, it turns out football coaches pay closer attention to this stuff than me. You might have noticed a lot of the good players didn't do a lot in Canton. It's because they're going to do a lot here in this setting. They can have a little bit more control. There aren't as many young guys who don't know what they're doing out there. You're still not going to overwork these guys, but, your Zach Martins, your Tyron Smiths, your CD Lambs, the guys that took Thursday off are going to be going against the Rams. And like you said, this is one of the best rosters in the NFC coming to visit. This should be some really quality work for those guys.
Yeah, because we didn't get to see those guys in Canton. Cowboys held out 16 guys that didn't even make the trip. And then there was a bunch of guys that made the trip that didn't play. Guys like Randy Gregory didn't get any snaps. Trayvon Diggs didn't get any snaps. So guys like that are going to be playing here, and they can control how many reps they get in each different period that we're going to have out here. And the thing to also remember is they're just what they call thudding up. They're not tackling, putting guys on the ground, but they want them to go in and simulate a tackle, kind of meet up with the guy and then release and let the ball carrier through.
For about 30 minutes or so, it's really only warming up, a lot of stretching going on, and then going into special teams for about 12 minutes or so. And then, by the way, coming up at 3:15, we've got Cowboys Chief Operating Officer Stephen Jones going to join us live from his bird's eye view in the middle of both fields 1 and 2. But you mentioned Thursday night. Let's talk a little bit about the preseason game, the Hall of Fame game against the Steelers. Final score was 16-3 in favor of Pittsburgh. It wasn't the score you anticipated, but there were a lot of positives, Mickey, that Mike McCarthy talked about. What did you see from Thursday night?
Yeah, I think we had just had a shot there of Garrett Gilbert, the Cowboys' kind of right now number 2 quarterback. I thought he conducted himself well on the field. I know they only drove for a field goal, but he had 2 long drives. They got inside the 10. They were inside the red zone. So that was a good thing to see him kind of in command of the offense. Defensively, how can you miss Micah Parsons? He was out there for 11 of the 13 snaps in those first 2 series, has 3 tackles, a fumble recovery, and it just seemed like, Dave, every time I looked up, he was doing something, even if he wasn't finishing the tackle.
That's been the story of since he got drafted, to be honest. We talked about it the other day on one of our podcasts. It's incredibly impressive the way every time he gets an opportunity, he makes the most of it. He's doing it in OTAs, and you say, oh, okay, well, let him put the pads on. Showing up, getting interceptions. Hard Knocks is out here for HBO. They posted a clip of him getting a pick in practice when he first put his pads on. Oh, yeah, goes and gets a fumble recovery in his first live preseason action. I just expect him to keep doing this at this point because he hasn't let me down so far.
And Kyle, he hasn't played since December 28th of 2019 in a game, right? It was the Cotton Bowl. I believe he was the defensive player of the game, obviously, right? And so to go out in that Hall of Fame game and play the way he did and having played a football game all last year, and I know it was only 2 series, but boy, it was quality 2 series.
Yeah, he played 11 snaps, the 12th overall pick from this past April's NFL draft, and that's the first time we get a chance outside of the Hall of Fame game to see him in white, and you saw the interaction with him and Dan Quinn. There was a lot of that interaction during his 2 series that he played up in Canton the other day, and so Micah Parsons has certainly brought a lot of excitement around this team overall. But whenever you look at this defense, that's one of the biggest storylines this offseason has been the revamped defense underneath Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. What have you seen, Dave, early on throughout camp that has you excited whenever these preseason games come around and even practices like we're about to see?
Arguably the most important stat in football, which is turnovers, takeaways. The Cowboys' turnover margin was atrocious at times last year, especially in the beginning. This is a defense that, as long as I've covered it, has really struggled to get takeaways, except with maybe one outlier season. But we're seeing it out here. I know that doesn't always translate. I'm not trying to tell you that they're going to do that when the lights are on, but it's nice to see them doing it out here because that's how you start this process. And we're seeing defensive backs get to the ball. We're seeing guys like Micah Parsons get to the ball. And again, it wasn't some crazy play against the Steelers the other night. It was just a bobbled snap. But to see Micah Parsons in position to do that, I think that is your best hope for this defense getting better. You're not going to completely recalibrate the talent in one offseason, but if guys can get near the football, they're going to get more takeaways, and it's going to help them win games.
Only 10 interceptions last year, and that you got to do better than that.
There are DBs that have more than that in a year.
Yeah, right,
It's
exactly.
true.
Well, Everson Walls had more his rookie year. He had 11, right? But the takeaways are important. But the other thing is, I think the defense looks more organized. I don't see as many busted coverages taking place last year. And I realized last year they didn't have an off season, they didn't have a preseason, but just in the practices, even in OTAs and minicamp, it just seemed more organized. They all seemed to be on assignment, and last year it wasn't like that. And I think that's a step in the right direction. These guys like playing for Dan Quinn. They like his nature. They like what he demands of them. And I think that gets us going much better than where they were last year when the season started.
Now we transition into the offensive and defensive fundamental drills, but there is another team that is in attendance today. The Los Angeles Rams, a year ago, finishing up 10-6. They went into the playoffs and got a win underneath now 5th-year head coach Sean McVay. They also have a new quarterback in the red jersey wearing that number 9. Dallas, Texas native Matthew Stafford comes over from the Detroit Lions, where he had spent 12 of his NFL seasons. Now heading into year number 13, the former Highland Park graduate, now acquired from the Lions for 2 first-rounders, a third-rounder, and more importantly, the once was franchise quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, Jared Goff. What do you think about Matthew Stafford, Dave, and what he could potentially bring to a high-powered offense already?
Man, and Matthew Stafford's he's complicated because I think you could argue that he's the most overrated and underrated player at times, as weird as that is.
Very good point.
But it's weird to say that, right? I mean, he's number 1 pick. He never really had the team success in Detroit that I'm sure he'd prefer. He's also had a very nice career to this point. And this roster, you put him here with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and the talent that's on this offense, I think he's a lot better than Jared Goff. I think if Sean McVay can work with him the way that he worked with Goff, I think it could be trouble for everybody in their division.
And if you're looking real closely at him throwing the football, he's got tape on his right thumb there, and he banged it in a previous practice. Chances are we're probably not going to see him today. And that was a thumb he had worked on in the offseason too, injuries from last year. So we'll see if he actually gets out there. Oh, they wear red jerseys too on their quarterback.
They
or
do.
Maybe that quarterback.
Yeah,
maybe the starter overall. John Walford, their backup out of Wake Forest, he was injured earlier this week in practice as well. So maybe we will see Matthew Stafford just based out of necessity. He's one of the toughest players in the NFL, has only missed 8 games since 2010. All of those came in 2019 after he ended a streak of 136 straight starts in his NFL career. So he will be out there at all possible. Dak Prescott is out there as well. We'll see more of him and more of this offense v defense as we're in the fundamental section early on in this SoCal Showdown from Oxnard, California. So now, on the internet side of things, we get our friends back. How about that?
It's like the draft all over again.
It is like the draft. I was looking at David Hellman because we always have this give and take between the internet side and the TV side. If you're watching on DallasCowboys.com, first off, thank you for joining us. And secondly, you get a little extra from throughout the next couple of hours. Once again, Mickey Spagnola, David Hellman, I'm Kyle Yeomans, and we were talking about Matthew Stafford a little bit there, but this is going to be a defensive-heavy Rams team heading into 2021, and of course, this is going to be a great test offensively for this Dallas Cowboys team going up against a defense, Mickey, that last year was #1 in the NFL in multiple categories.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if you look back to the beginning of the season, before Dak Prescott got hurt, the Cowboys were the #1 offense, oh, by the way, until things kind of fell apart. They were averaging over those first 5 games 32 points a game. That should be enough to be better than 2 and 3. Unfortunately, the defense was giving up 36 points a game. So, again, they got a pretty good defense out there. We won't see Dak Prescott today, but they'll go up against a pretty good defense out there with the Rams.
Keep in mind, and look, I know that the offensive pass interference on Michael Gallup was bull. Like, we all know
last year.
But this is a Rams defense that held that explosive Cowboys offense to 17 points in the season opener. These guys are for real. I mean, maybe, two of the top 5 defenders in the entire NFL play on this team, Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. So I hope we get to see some ones-on-ones. I hope we get to see Donald go against Zach Martin for a rep or 2. I hope we get to see Jalen go against guys like Gallup and Lamb. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Aaron Donald, reigning Defensive Player of the Year. Ramsey, first-team All-Pro. He was a Pro Bowler again last year, and both of those guys part of the recently released Madden 99 Club. So if you're getting 99 Club
pretty good, right?
recognition, you're a pretty darn good football player, and you're pretty good at what you do. They also have a couple guys like Darius Williams that was picked on a little bit early last year, came back and really responded with a big-time season, led the team with 4 interceptions, and this is a defense that only allowed 17 touchdowns a year ago. We're going to see them coming up here in just a little bit going up against this Dallas Cowboys offense. SoCal Showdown, the joint practice between the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams here on DallasCowboys.com and TXA 21. And we're just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be getting underway with Stephen Jones coming up in the next couple of minutes. But right now, a couple inside looks at the fundamental drills. They split up into each offensive and defensive position group. Dave, what have you looked at whenever maybe the pace of these practices and some of the different things that go on early before we really get into the team stuff?
Yeah, I love fans getting a look at this. And don't get me, practice is exciting. It's fun to be close to these guys and see what they do. But it's a process getting to the juicy stuff. I mean, from the time guys start trickling out here to when we're ready to go 7-on-7 and 11-on-11, we're probably talking about 45 minutes of just getting things right. You see offensive linemen working on their stance, working on their get off. It's all part of, I mean, this is incredibly physical stuff. So just it's fun to see the amount of work that just goes into getting ready to do that. And it seems like under Mike McCarthy, I mean, football teams have done that forever, but Mike McCarthy seems even more deliberate about it.
But he's learned about the process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and this is what we see. What you're seeing kind of right now is what we see every day they practice out here. This is how it kind of starts. It's kind of a slow ramp up to getting into 7-on-7, 11-on-11, getting into more of the team stuff. So, yeah, this is typical of what takes place here day in and practice out, I guess.
Who do you think gets the most, Mickey, out of these individual fundamental reps? Do you think it's the blocking sets from an offensive lineman? Do you think it's the pass rush drills against the dummies for the defensive line? Do you have anybody that might stick out more than the other?
Actually, I like watching the defensive backs and the wide receivers, because the defensive backs got to get their footwork right. The wide receivers, you just saw it. You've got to take the right steps and make precise cuts. If you can do it in this drill, then you can do it when it gets in the team. And they're very particular on, if you got to run a 17-yard route, you don't run it 15, you don't run it 19, you run it 17, and you don't waste steps making your break, your cut left or right. So this is typical of what we get to see.
I like just seeing whoever Dan Quinn's working with, to be honest with you. Like he usually has like a pet project guy, and it's usually Randy Gregory or Micah Parsons. And it's, he's been a long-time defensive line coach. He's done that in college. He does it here. You can tell he's got a special interest in his pass rushers. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
and,
he's talking with the defensive line, or it looks like the interior of that defensive line. Osa Odigizua in 75, 98 is rookie Quentin Bohanna out of Kentucky. There's Randy Gregory in the back.
That's funny Dave brought up those two players, because coaches usually pay a little bit more attention to the guys that are really good, right?
Exactly.
I learned long ago, if the coach isn't talking to you, you got problems, because he doesn't really think you got anything. But, yeah, Quinn's out there. He mixes it up with the guys. And like I said earlier, they just really love kind of working with him.
They like working with him, but it's really the hands-on approach that has been refreshing of a feel of having a guy like Dan Quinn, who has taken a team to the Super Bowl from a coordinator perspective and from a head coach perspective. Of course, he spent some time with the Atlanta Falcons as their head coach, took them to Super Bowl 51 down in Houston, where he fell to the New England Patriots. But he has the pedigree, he has the resume back on to lean on, but he also has just the personality and the ability to coach somebody, and that's something I don't think the Cowboys had last year, Dave.
Yeah, actually, and we were talking about the organization of it all, and I do think that is probably a benefit. You realize how many things you have to look out for as the head coach of an NFL franchise: the scheduling, keeping everything on pace, making sure everybody's picking everything up. I mean, you're responsible for everybody in the football side of the building. So now Dan Quinn's just got to worry about the defense. But he was the head coach in Atlanta for 5 years. I mean, he's got plenty of experience crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. Mick was talking about how organized this looks compared to last year. I'm guessing that's not a coincidence with the former head coach as the DC.
There is the current head coach, Mike McCarthy, who at least this year it feels like he's more of an overseer whenever it comes to the offensive coordinators. Kellen Moore on the offensive side, defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. It feels like he's really delivering most of the coaching and most of the hands-on to both of them. What do you think about his approach to this year?
Yeah, and I think the word you used, overseer, is very accurate, because he can look at the offense, he can look at the defense, but he doesn't have to run the drill, he doesn't have to call the plays, and I think that helps out when you're going to be a walk-around head coach, and that also gives you an idea how much he trusts his coordinators right now with Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore with the offense.
So we were going to go to Stephen Jones coming up here in about a couple minutes or so, but he is not up in the tower just yet, so we'll continue on with our coverage here of the fundamental drills. We're about to get into a bit of a unit install, and that was something that Mike McCarthy specifically had talked about in his press conference. Was he wants to have a longer install to make sure the foundation has been set for a team that is maybe switching a little bit on defense. What have you seen early on, Dave, from the just the foundation and the simplicity of Dan Quinn's defense and even on the offensive side as well?
It's such a relief, honestly, because, I mean, not to throw too much shade, it's in the past, but, like, they didn't look like they had an install last year. Like this, especially on defense, not having a preseason, having to really put it together on the fly, they look so disorganized. And like we keep saying, that doesn't seem like the case. I mean, it's still, I hate to call it too simplistic because this is still a really multiple looking defense. They were moving in and out of 3-4, 4-3, all even odd fronts even in the Hall of Fame game the other night. But it does look like everybody is much more on the same page, having had the spring. And again, they've been very deliberate this entire time. They just got done with installs at the beginning of this week before they went out to Canton. And I like that. I like that it seems like they're able to take their time.
Installs last year were zoomed, right?
It's true.
And you didn't have a chance to get on the field and show the guys physically, here, I'm going to put you here, here's where you go. And the thing that we've noticed here, the difference this year, they've got all that in, and they can run multiple groups in and out. If you saw, I think it was the first or second play of the Hall of Fame game, they were making a substitute change, right? Yep. And then they called them back, but then on third down they went back out there. So they've got different groups, and that's how he's getting different guys on the field. So the starters may start, but if there's a play that they want to match up on second down with whatever the offense has in, then they'll change their group and put in another group, and that's how he's getting a whole lot of different guys on the field. But the good thing is 94 right there, he is on the field.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a big thing.
And this is like his first offseason / training camp since his rookie year, to have both in the same year. And for a guy that only played 25% of the snaps last year, Randy Gregory has really stood out so far in this training camp. His speed, his strength that I don't think people recognize, and the fact that, at times in his rookie year, he was like 235. He's getting close to 260 now. He looks like an NFL pass rushing defensive end at other guys that used to wear that 94.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a mistake that they gave him 94 right now, does it?
Yeah,
it's been a long road, and I get that. And he said it himself. He's still got a lot of work to do, but I'm not betting against him, man. He looks the part out here. He looks so impressive.
How can Dan Quinn kind of unlock the true potential of a guy like Randy Gregory? He had the 3.5 sacks last year. By the way, all of 3.5 of those came over the span of 2 games, and they were both against divisional opponents, against Philadelphia and Washington. But on the opposite side as well, number 90, DeMarcus Lawrence, who currently is ramping back up from being on the physically unable to perform list, he had 11.5 sacks in the last 2 years after having 25 combined between 2017 and 2018. Do you think just the presence alone of Dan Quinn and Randy Gregory can get DeMarcus Lawrence back to where he was?
Not just that, no, probably not. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence played across from a hell of an end named Robert Quinn a couple years ago, and he didn't have the most amazing season of his career. He wasn't getting the 12, 13, 14 that we had become accustomed to. So, no, I don't know that that's enough, but I do think they've taken steps to up the talent level across this defense. Like I said, it's not all going to happen in one offseason, but Micah Parsons is a guy that can help with that. Randy Gregory is a guy that can help with that. Even some of these draft pick defensive backs hit, whether it's Trayvon Diggs, whether it's Kelvin Joseph, make it harder on wide receivers to get open. I think all of those things combined will help them a lot.
And it helps that he's healthy, too.
Yes.
I know they're taking it slow with him. He had cleanup back surgery in the offseason. And as the Cowboys continue to point out, they don't need to win the season opener on, August 7th. It's September 9th. So they've taken it slow with him. And if you watch his rehab going on with Britt Brown, the Cowboys associate trainer, he's ready to go. He is running hard. He's moving well. And that'll be a welcome sight if they can get him out there for at least 40 snaps a game, because I'm not sure he averaged that last year. And Randy Gregory, I want to see him 50 snaps a game if they can keep him out there and keep him strong and going. Last year, he was in a ramp-up mode, right? He had to miss the first 6 games. You play 2 games, try to get your sea legs underneath you. So really, he had a half a season and they didn't play him all that much. I think he's ready to go, and that certainly will help out both ends of that defense. And now if they can get something in the middle, some sort of push in the middle, then those defensive ends become better.
Well, that was a really big push this offseason, was to evaluate and look at exactly what the interior of that defensive line was going to look like. Neville Gallimore, of course, a third-round pick last year, is now joined by guys like Carlos Watkins, who was a one-year pickup. You have Osa Odigizua, who was drafted, Quentin Bohanna, who we talked about as well. Multiple guys in the interior of that defensive line. When we come back, we have got more on deck here from Oxnard, California. We'll hear from Cowboys COO Stephen Jones and get you ready for the 11-on-11 portion of the SoCal Showdown here from Oxnard. Back here in Oxnard, California for the SoCal Showdown, joint practice between the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. It's 70 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, and just like that, the magic of television, Mickey Spagnola, David Hellman subbed out. We've got two subs hopping in on the desk. We've got Nate Newton and Rob Phillips joining myself, Kyle Yeomans, and you might notice we've got a couple hats up here. These are the New Era Sideline Collection. It's been released limited time in stores. You can wear the same headwear as the team does on the sideline this season. You can just head to the Pro Shop, your official store of Cowboys Nation, and get the 2021 New Era Draft Cap as well. Visit your local Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop online or shopdallascowboys.com. And Dak's got a pretty cool hat on out there, and that's just, it's cool in general to have the hat on, but it's even cooler, I think, Rob Phillips, to see Dak out despite a shoulder injury, one that's just been nursing over the course of training camp, but he is definitely out there and participating, and that's good to see.
It's a lot better than last fall, right, when he was out for the final 11 games with a serious ankle injury. And I think any time your starting quarterback is missing practice, Nate, it's news. I mean, it's big news. When Troy was out missing any time back in the 90s, that was news, but the Cowboys really are not concerned about this, guys. I mean, I think it's a situation where last Thursday was 5 weeks before the opener against the Bucs. They're pointing towards that. Now, maybe he gets some preseason work in, but that strained shoulder muscle that he's dealing with, just be calm, let it heal up a little bit, and maybe we see him throw before the Cowboys leave Oxnard, maybe not. Either way, I think they think he's going to be fine.
You know, I know he'll be fine because when you've invested what you've invested in this guy, and every year he's improved, and you've made sure that he's your #1 guy. Every veteran at this point that they feel has a little pinch, a little uneasiness, they take advantage of the rest. Like you say, they have 5 weeks to go.
There was a cool little interaction there between Dak Prescott and Deshaun Jackson, who, of course, spent so much time with the Philadelphia Eagles inside the NFC East. Now Jackson, a part of this offense for the Los Angeles Rams, along with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. We are getting into some 7-on-7, and we are going to get a chance, it looks like, to see Matthew Stafford. Sean McVay said earlier this week that he was dealing with a thumb ailment, and then also that he's not going to play in the preseason as long as Sean McVay is around. And as long as we're around, we're going to get any chance we can to talk to Stephen Jones. And we are now joined by the Cowboys Chief Operating Officer from up in his bird's eye booth. Stephen Jones joins us here on the SoCal Showdown. Stephen, can you hear us?
To be on, and well, what a great day, and great to see these Rams out here, and we're going to have some great competition here.
Absolutely. What is really the biggest priority whenever you have a practice like this, Stephen, and you bring in a team that has as high of a caliber as this Rams team does?
Well, first of all, it's always great to see some new faces. We've been in camp now for a while. Now, we did get a little taste at the Hall of Fame game, but a lot of our upper-end guys didn't get as much as some of the younger guys in the Hall of Fame game. So, you know, the great thing about a situation like this is you can still manage the situation in terms of making sure the quarterbacks stay healthy and stay upright. They'll be having their red jerseys on, but it really gives your team a chance, your first team, your guys you're going to be counting on this year, first team guys, your nickel guys, your sub guys, a real opportunity to go against upper tier players from another team. So it'll be a great situation for us. It'll also be a great situation for guys like Micah and Kelvin Joseph and guys like that to really get to see the speed of the game as well. So we're really looking forward to the practice today, the scrimmage today, and it'll be a great situation for us, and hopefully the Rams will too, to get better.
And Stephen, Coach McCarthy mentioned Thursday's game, and this practice today is kind of an extension of each other in terms of the work. And you mentioned some of the young guys in the preseason opener. Who has stood out to you, maybe particularly on defense, with all the rookie draft picks you have? Who stood out to you so far here in Oxnard?
Well, I think they took it to the game too, but Kelvin Joseph and Nahshon Wright have really been playing well here in camp. They both had good scrimmages. Nahshon got a few more reps and really was around the ball. You can tell he loves the game. Was really sticking his face in there. I think he may have been the lead tackler on the team as the corner, but they really stepped up. I also thought Osa, our three technique from UCLA we got in the third round, stepped up. Bohannon, really both of them played right at 50 plays apiece, I think, and really got some great opportunities and really answered the bell in terms of really making some improvement in terms of their game. And then, of course, Micah, as he's done all through camp, got his hands on a ball again. He recovered a fumble, was all around the ball, and, he's everything and more that we expected in terms of what he's been able to do in training camp and help this defense out. So really been nice to see these young guys. Israel, I'm not going to get his name right. I'll call him Israel M. So, but anyway, he did a great job back there at safety as well, and we're just real pleased with this draft class. And Jabril Cox is another one I don't want to forget, because he really showed up in the Hall of Fame game and has shown up. All these guys have shown up in practice, and I think our draft class is going to be one that we're going to be really happy with.
Proud of that draft class there, Mr. Jones, but this is Nate. I really want to ask you about our backup center, Connor Williams. How did he fare during the game?
Hold on 1 sec, Nate. I missed that. Someone chimed in on me.
Connor Williams, how did he fare at that second team center? Because, that is a serious position, changing of the ball.
Well, all Connor's doing is making himself more valuable to this team. He did an outstanding job as a center. I think he had one snap that could have been improved upon. But as far as knowing his job at center, played a great first series and a half at guard, and then moved over and played the center position. which is going to be so valuable to us this year. Of course, we got Farniok we drafted, and he's coming along as well. He knows what he's supposed to do there. But Connor, for him to have that versatility to be able to move in there, if Bidaz has any injury issues, is just a big deal for us because he's obviously a starting caliber player. He started since the day he walked in here. And then, of course, we got Connor McGovern really pushing as well to play at that guard spot. So, we really feel like this offensive line group's coming together. And I think I was visiting with Dak the other day. He seems really pleased with it as well. And then, of course, to see guys like Zach and Tyron Smith and Lyle out there is just makes us all smile. So really pleased with what we're doing on the offensive side of the ball.
What about the defensive side of the ball, Steven? You talked a lot about the offense and especially what you've put there, but how much has Dan Quinn already changed the entire feeling and the entire mood around that side of the ball?
Well, I've said that since day one, that he was our biggest acquisition of all in the offseason was to get, obviously a Super Bowl caliber head coach. I mean, he was just so unfortunate not to have a ring on his finger as a head coach, and to have him out here, his energy, our guys have really answered the bell. And, of course, running a scheme that our guys are comfortable with. A lot of our veteran guys, whether it's a Leighton, a D-Law, a Jalen, going Black Lewis, also our nickel corner, they really understand what Dan's trying to get done. And he just does a great job, with his energy levels. He's out there very much involved in coaching the defensive line. And just really think, someone asked me, how are you going to go from, being a bottom type of defense to a respectable defense again so quickly? And I said, well, it happened so quickly that we went to the bottom too. We were a respectable defense that went to the bottom in less than a year. So we feel like we can do the same thing. And I think we can not only be respectable, but be a really good defense.
Steven, it's Rob again. I'm going to leave all the O-line questions to Nate because he's the expert.
I can see who likes what here.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you about Dak real quick, though, just because that's the question on everybody's mind, just how he's doing. I know it's not something you guys consider serious, but what do you feel about his progress right now with the strained shoulder?
Well, we just think he's doing outstanding. I got an A++ report on him today from the trainers. The work that he's doing as he starts to work back toward throwing the football again. And, he's such a competitor. He hates that he's not out here in the middle of this excitement and getting better himself. And as he said, getting to play with his guys, his toys, if you will, in terms of guys like CD and Michael Gallup and Blake Jarwin and all that crew. And Mari's going to be out here before we know it. So he's just doing outstanding. Of course, we've got a long ways to go before that first game, and he's just doing a great job, and really no concerns there in terms of him being ready to go this year.
That's great news, I think, for every Cowboys fan out there. We also saw some good news throughout the offseason with the Hall of Fame class and, of course, last year's class as well. Cliff Harris, Jimmy Johnson, along with Drew Pearson going in. I wanted to get your thoughts on those three and just how special of a weekend it really has been for them up in Canton.
Well, anytime you get Dallas Cowboys going in the Hall of Fame, I can tell you, in ownership, whether it's Jerry, myself, my brother or sister, you're fired up when you see these Cowboys go in. They represent the star at its highest level when you get chosen to be in that elite group in the Hall of Fame. And, of course, Cliff Harris, Drew Pearson, Jimmy Johnson have all been involved in championship football teams, have really brought great things to our organization that we've built on over the years. And what an honor for those guys, but we're certainly thrilled for them. And Jerry's up there as we speak. There's nothing he'd rather be doing than watching our team right here against the Rams, but really felt compelled to be there for this special honor. He's a gold jacket. He knows what it means for this honor, and he wanted to be there for those three guys, and so fired up for them.
Well, Steven, thank you so much for taking some time out of the practice to visit with us. It's always a pleasure getting to talk to you, and we'll talk to you again down the line.
Sounds great.
Enjoy the eagle eye view up there. Steven Jones, there he goes, Chief Operating Officer of the Dallas Cowboys, and got a lot of great information there, a lot of input around both sides of the football. But I want to talk about the Hall of Fame class really quickly while we're still taking a look at some of the special teams play right now. But 3 guys going in, one of which you played for, Nate. Now, I want to get your thoughts on Jimmy Johnson and what he really meant as a coach to this organization and then also to you as a player.
He came in behind a legend, Coach Tom Landry, and he put his foot down right away. He said he knew things was going to change. He knew the team had to have a high turnover rate so he can get his culture in. But one thing he was consistent with Coach Landry is he was a no-nonsense guy. He likes controlling things. He told us right away, this is not a democracy. We run this. I run this, Jimmy Johnson. And at that point, we all began to hate him because he was a college coach. Man, with these college ways. And he brought in a college staff, Wannstedt, Coach Wise, guys like that. And they taught us how to be professionals coming from college. He was a no-nonsense guy, and I love me some Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Drew Pearson and Cliff Harris, I'm so deserving, and they've waited such a long time for this opportunity. For Nate, talking to Nate over the years about Jimmy Johnson, it's like you just got out of college. You don't want that mentality again, right?
Right.
But, I mean, he's one of those coaches, I think as time passed for you, you appreciated more what he did for you.
Every year I look back, man, and I get up out of the bed and I'm hurting, but it's a good hurt. Because it's a Super Bowl ring here. I can't do this from here. Super Bowl ring here. But, that's what it's about. He told us a long time ago, pay the price and the reward to be there. No matter what position you play. I'm sitting here right here with Kyle. I'm sitting here with you, guys that I went to school to be what y'all are. Y'all great at it. But I'm sitting up here, I can make a mistake because I played with the Cowboys.
That's true. That's very true. Rob, whenever you look at the career of Cliff Harris, I mean, he was a feared individual, one of the best free safeties of his time. Captain Cliff, Captain Crash. I mean, he did it all, and he was a hard-hitting safety. What did he mean to this organization that maybe a lot of people now don't really know?
I think he just defined toughness. I mean, just toughness. I mean, Captain Crash was his nickname for a reason. The physical style of play that he had, being part of those doomsday defenses, and he's always been connected with Charlie Waters, his best friend, and they made such a great tandem at safety. I mean, we talk about the safety position pretty much every year around here in terms of can they find the right mix there in recent years, and the Cowboys had that for so many years at that position. Just well-deserving of the opportunity for him.
And dealing with Drew, man.
Not easy.
Tell me about Drew.
Dealing with Drew.
Tell me about Drew.
He was one of the first guys that welcomed me. When I came to the Dallas Cowboys, I met him. First thing he said, I'm Drew Pearson. I'm the original 88. And the next thing he said, well, hut. The next thing he said, I'm looking at him like, and that's his thing, the hut. And I'm like, but you look back at the Hail Mary catch, man. You look back when you talk to Raj and say, who was your guy? And it was Drew. Like, when I needed a play, I just told him, hey, be at this point of the field at this time, and boom, it was going to happen. He was a big play, and he started the original 88.
He had titles. He had the numbers for his era especially. And you can't tell the history of the Hall of Fame without Drew Pearson, because that Hail Mary play goes on forever. And you got to tell it with Roger Staubach as well. So again, so deserving.
No doubt about it. All 3 of those, congratulations. They've heard that from everybody, I think, throughout the weekend. They're up in Canton, Ohio. The enshrinement ceremony starting today, going into tomorrow for the class of 2020 and 2021. We've still got plenty of action going on. We've had great looks at the special teams. We've had great looks at even some of the early fundamentals. But guys, guess what? On the other side of the break, we've got 7-on-7 red zone. Cowboys versus Rams on both fields. We've got action flying your way. We're going to take a break and step aside when we come back. 7-on-7 here from Oxnard, California. And welcome back here on the internet side of things. It is a TV timeout, so not a ton of action going on the field. And I don't know, Rob, one of the things that we've experienced early parts of training camp so far is the Mojo moment.
Oh, yes.
Where it's a wrench thrown in, and it's all of a sudden you go from doing one drill into, okay, here it is, red zone, here's the scenario. You got to find a way to succeed. And at least at the moment, I don't expect that to happen with the Rams in town, but it certainly does go to the point of Mike McCarthy wanting scenarios worked pretty extensively in practice.
Well, he said, I don't know if the NBC Sunday Night Football music is going to blare. It's time for a Mojo moment. I don't know if we're going to hear that. But he did talk about he and Sean McVay both want to work situations in this practice, and he had a couple of those in the game. He went for it on 4th and 15 in his own territory with Ben DiNucci against the Steelers, backed up against their own 1 on Thursday night. That's the kind of stuff that happens, Nate, within the course of games, so you got to be ready for it.
If Jalen Ramsey playing, it's going to be a Mojo moment. He gives it number 99 playing. It's going to be a Mojo moment. Whether the music come or not, it's going to be a Mojo moment. These guys are just that great.
So I'll let you guys decide here on the .com side. We've got 2 areas of 7-on-7. Which one do you want to watch first, Cowboys offense or Cowboys defense?
I'm always about Cowboys defense. I'll always be there because we need to improve.
So we're going to start on field 2 then. That's the wall side of things behind us, and we're going to do 7-on-7 drills when we come back on the other side of, I guess for the .com side, it's just a tiny little break, but we'll be back in a couple seconds. Back here on the SoCal Showdown, Oxnard, California, Cowboys and Rams as we move into the 7-on-7 red zone period. We're going to take a look at both fields. We're going to start on the defensive side of things, a good look at Micah Parsons, Randy Gregory and company. Gregory not a part of these drills at the moment because it is 7-on-7. It's secondary versus skills players on the offensive side for the Rams, and Matthew Stafford in at quarterback. Rob Phillips, what are you looking for in this drill?
Well, I'm always watching number 11. I want to see what Micah Parsons is doing. You see him dropping the flat there in coverage. And, you know, the Cowboys have done a lot of this in their own practices with some scramble drills where they've got their quarterbacks moving outside the pocket. But defensively, Micah, you never know where he's going to be, Nate. He'll line up, he'll rush the passer, he'll drop in coverage. They move him around because he's that versatile.
But what I want to see him do more than anything, I know he can rush the passer, get in the A and B gaps and rush, but I want to see him cover backs. I want him to get as much experience as I can seeing him cover backs, cover tight ends. And as he get experience there, now he really becomes a true weapon because he can take away balls. I mean, in past game, he got a fumble.
So Anthony Brown beat on the route into the inside. That was, I'm not exactly sure who that is in terms of who caught the ball. It might be Van Jefferson.
It's tough when jerseys are rolled up,
you
guys.
can't really see the number.
It's not our friend.
Deshaun Jackson's out there. Xavier Jones, who's an SMU product. There's a look at Micah Parsons in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. The offense going on the top left-hand corner. Garrett Gilbert out there.
And what we're looking for Gilbert is when you're in the red zone, be quick. Be quick. Either get out of there, throw the ball around. See, holding that ball is not going to be what we need there.
And he found Blake Jarwin in the back of the end zone. But you're right. We saw that in the Hall of Fame game. And because of that, it wasn't successful a whole lot. And the Cowboys did have some stalled drives that got down into the red zone. Garrett Gilbert was able to get them there, but then it turned into a problem.
I'll tell you what, though, he was proficient those first 2 drives, especially that first drive against the Steelers. I think it was 14 plays. That's kind of what Mike's looking for more than anything. Although you want to get 7, they had to settle for a couple field goal attempts, but they liked the way he moved the ball as we see Ben DiNucci, number 7, in there.
See what DiNucci can have. Jaquan Hardy
was
there as well. Completion to Jeremy Sprinkle, the
big blocking
veteran tight end. Yeah, big blocking tight end, but he made a reception on that one.
Yes, he did.
Devlin Hodges in at quarterback for the Rams in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and a completion into the flats, so nothing really going there. We saw a couple first-teamers in terms of the defense there. Leighton Vander Esch out on the field.
That was Jalen Smith.
Is that one-on-one pass rush at the top? Yes,
it is.
Oh my God, y'all got me. Oh Lord, I should have not. Oh well, I got to turn around, bro. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's go to the one-on-one pass rush. If we can take that full screen for those listening in the truck.
Oh yeah. Way to go. Yes, good hands, good feet.
This is Nate.
That's Lyle Collins right there. Good set, good hands, good feet. Yes, sir. I don't miss those.
This is gold. You're getting everyone at home is getting a master class in 1, how to cheer on an offensive line.
We all stick together.
2, what to look for, because Nate Newton, 6-time Pro Bowler, multiple Super Bowl champion.
Nate's in the lab right now.
Yeah.
I think we're all in the lab at the moment. And there's a vicious spin move and a takedown.
Yeah.
And, we haven't seen the Cowboys practice this.
No, we haven't done any one-on-one pass rush. We've done situational pass rush, 3rd down, 4th down pass rush, where it was the whole offensive line. Yeah, good block.
Isaac Alaperon going up that time against Marquise Copeland.
Nice, good hands, nice lateral movement, keep good extension. And see, that's what you're looking at. Like, we got the center here. Who's our center here, Kyle?
I couldn't tell from
68.
that move. Here's the other side of things. The offensive line of the Rams going against the defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys. There's Azur Kamara, who had 4 pressures on Thursday night, pretty much stood up.
Great job. As an outside linebacker, defensive end, keep hands off at all pace. Keep hands off. You got to keep hands up. That was nice. Justin Hamilton played sparingly in the game, and I wanted to get to Mr. Jones about that, but we had to get out of there. But I want to know why he played sparingly, because his first series was great, number 99.
Brandon Knight in the top left-hand corner. A decent rep.
Wow. If they would have told me I'd have been losing valuable time looking at my players, I had to, get rid of you, Kyle. I had to be standing up on the sideline.
Nate lives for this.
Yes.
What was this like back in the 90s?
Bloody.
Oh, goodness.
But the thing is,
it's not the answer I expected to hear, but I totally get it.
I believe it.
But what we need this. We need this before our young guys. We have a bunch of young guys,
Look
that
at Dorrance
need
Armstrong.
this. Yes.
He has had as good a camp as anybody, Nate, as a pass rusher out here, number 92.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. But what I need him to do versus the run in the game the other night, he wasn't setting the edge strong enough.
Okay.
But his pass game, like you said, Rob, you've been seeing it through the right eyes.
I mean,
he's pass rushing.
There's 94, Randy Gregory, who we might not see do this, and then Dorrance Armstrong's right there.
Yes,
Tank
sir.
Lawrence has not done this yet. We saw him earlier. He's watching these drills coming off of his back surgery.
Every rep is valuable. And what's so big about having the Rams here, Kyle, is the fact that now coaches get another chance to evaluate against other talent. And the Rams are projected to be in the race for the NFC West. So here we go. A team that is up there with good coaches, good system.
Look at the bat down, a PBU for Micah Parsons on Matthew Stafford. The running back that was coming out of the backfield there was Darrell Henderson, who was replacing Cam Akers as the number 1 running back. And Parsons had him covered over the middle of the field and batted that football down. And like I said, that was first-team offense for L.A. going up against first-team defense for the Dallas Cowboys. And there's another look at it. Just got a nice hand in there.
I'm telling you, if this kid can cover, it's lights out.
Yes.
Because I watched him come out being no pads and was everywhere. First few days of pad, he slowed down, but then he started adjusting and making plays. Other night in the game, he was moving a little slow because he wanted to be sure of his reads. But once he makes up his mind, he goes to the ball. He's always near the ball. He's got great instincts. And Coach Edwards, the linebacker coach, is just bringing him along in a nice way.
It just finds him, right?
Yeah.
The fumble recovery on the opening drive of Thursday night, the ball just finds him. And when you're that aggressive as he is, sometimes it just goes your way.
Matt Farniok with a little extracurriculars and pushing and shoving following the rep. He's back out there at center. And let's see who's going on the far side here.
This is good reps.
Good reps. This is Smith. This is
Aaron
Kevin
Smith.
Yeah. Good rep.
Rams had 53 sacks last year.
See, what I got to teach my guys is when you stop a guy like that with 2 hands and you in front of him, you got to grab him by his pants and just shake him and look him in his eyes. You know what I'm saying? It started taking heart. You know what I'm saying, Kyle? You got to take a little heart.
Aaron Smith getting a couple really good reps. There's another one on the far side. That was 96. Michael Hope going up against the Dallas offense. 13 guys going at it now. I'm sure we'll see more of the first-team pass rush coming up in this full-team drill.
Just good for all the young guys to get to work. Really impressive.
And overall, we got to see a lot of action there. And guess what? We're going to team drills coming up here in just a couple of moments.
Yes, we are.
It's only getting better along the way. But, gentlemen, final thoughts as we kind of wrap up this portion of practice and then head into hour number 2. Nate, you'll be back for the second half hour.
Yes, sir.
Rob, you'll stick around with us for a second. But, Nate, what were your thoughts of just seeing the one-on-one in the trenches, the battles that, like Rob said, you like to live for?
Every rep that you can be physical, every rep that you can grab another man and shake him up, and test your skills is a great thing. And I know that Coach Quinn, I talked to him about it, he wants these physical practices. He wants guys to have the mindset that goes straight ahead and do your job. So I like what we saw here for the first time in pass rush.
Didn't quite get bloody. They don't have to. But
it don't have to.
Good physical practice with another team in pads. Keep everybody up on their feet, nobody get hurt. That's the benefit of these practices.
That's what it's about.
That's a great point. And we've got a couple more things going on behind us before we take this next break. If we want to go back to the field of action, there is some one-on-one, it looks like a full team drills in the red zone at the moment, working on the far side. There's our first look at Ezekiel Elliott, who did not play on Thursday. Matthew Stafford commanding the offense against the first-team defense here for the LA Rams. Hand off to Henderson in the backfield. Look at Trayvon Diggs. He was already in the back. Hurst was the one that made the tackle.
You know how important he is to this defense, Trayvon Diggs, second-year guy that they held out of the Thursday opener in preseason because of what he's going to mean to the defense.
This guy's big time, man. Here's we're looking at our first team offense, man. That is a sight to see, Kyle.
All
That's
five
beautiful.
of them.
Yes, sir. That is a beautiful work of art.
Here's a replay of the first team offensive line a couple moments ago. Garrett Gilbert completing it on the rollout to Ezekiel Elliott.
Wow.
But isn't that a nice sight to see? Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, Zach Martin, Connor Williams, Tyler Biotish on the same offensive line. Those are the 5 guys at the moment that are your starters.
Yes.
And it looks like we've got something happening on the field, far side.
Oh, man.
There is a little pushing and shoving, and a pile started, and we are just about 3 reps into full team drills.
Why is 18 Rams versus 1 Cowboy?
I see some star helmets out there.
They're just on the far side there, Dan.
Yeah, just not enough.
We're breaking it up here.
Yeah, it just depends on who on the bottom. If they 2 third teamers, it's okay. But if we don't need our first teamers on the bottom.
Mike McCarthy said yesterday no interest from either him or Sean McVay in terms of fights. And this is only on one field. The other field is fine. Matthew Stafford in the offense for the Rams going up at number 1 offense of the Dallas Cowboys. However, looks like nothing crazy at the moment, but we'll keep an eye on that on
good
field
rush
1.
there, number 91. Good rush. Good rush.
It's Carlos Watkins.
Yes, nice rush.
5th-year product out of Clemson, 27-year-old, signed a 1-year deal, started 18 of 42 games played with the Houston Texans, and he has come in and had a really nice offseason so far. There's Anthony Brown. Rob, this is a big-time offseason for Anthony Brown and what he could potentially bring to this Cowboys secondary.
Yeah, they re-signed him because of his versatility. He can play outside, he can play the slot, and he's got some challenges, though, against Kelvin Joseph, rookie cornerback, trying to get some playing time early as a second-round pick.
So back to Garrett Gilbert, back to action. Nothing crazy early on from the scuffle at Cowboys and Rams. Rico Dowdle, and it looked like, is that an interception for Maurice Kennedy in the bottom right-hand corner? It looks like it is.
This guy has not missed a beat. He's been the unsung hero on defense. He's done everything right.
Opted out of 2020.
Yes.
Was signed last offseason. And we'll take another look at it as he picks off Matthew Stafford. Rolling out on the bootleg.
Oh, yeah.
Nice
athletic.
catch.
We have seen that anticipation all throughout camp.
Yes.
And as CeeDee Lamb making plays every day in practice, something spectacular, I think Maurice Kennedy has got a pick or something in just about every one of these Oxnard practices so far. As we see CeeDee Lamb right there, number 88.
It's almost like the equivalence of one side offense, one side defense. Maurice Kennedy has definitely stood up and made some highlight reel plays throughout the time. And doing it on a different quarterback, I think, stands out here, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get work against a different quarterback, I think is important too. As you see Trayvon Diggs there, some coverage right out in the flat there.
That was really good look at a good battle. Of course, Trayvon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb have gone after each other for quite a bit of practice. That was against Robert Woods, who normally would wear the number 18. Now he's in the number 2 after the rule switch in the NFL. He took full advantage of that. There's a handoff to Tony Pollard. Stacked up pretty quickly as the defensive line was there for the Rams. First team defense down in the right-hand corner.
I tell you, man, it does a body good to see this.
Jump ball.
Stafford well downfield. Couldn't see exactly who that was on the far sideline. He was trying to find Deshaun Jackson, who remains one of the biggest deep threats in the NFL. 17 games against the Cowboys, 58 receptions, over 1,200 yards, which is the most out of any team he's faced in his NFL career, and he's had 5 touchdowns against the guys with the star on the side of their helmet. So Deshaun Jackson, it's not a normal or a welcome sight, I would say, if you were seeing him in the regular season, but seeing him here, a lot more easy to swallow for Cowboys fans.
Yes, it is.
He's going to add something to their offense. You already talk about Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. You add that deep threat. I mean, that's great reps for the Cowboys.
And Jefferson in the slot as there's a completion to Cooper Kupp. Kupp, who's signed a 3-year, $47 million deal last offseason, and there's a nice run far side again from Rico Dowdle, who had a really nice Thursday. Led the team in rushing.
That's a Kyle Yeoman's favorite right there.
It is. I do. I like Rico Dowdle a lot.
Big kickoff return as a rookie last year. Trying to get some reps as a backup running back.
He's an undrafted free agent from South Carolina.
Very explosive guy.
Heavy package now in for the Rams in the bottom right-hand corner. Garrett Gilbert running for the offense in the left hand. I've never had to call 2 games at once. This is fun. Henderson met by Azur Kamara. Now we get a great look at Connor McGovern going up against somebody.
This is like March Madness, where you got a game in every screen. You know what I mean?
I feel like NFL Red Zone, but without having to go back and forth.
I love it.
CeeDee Lamb made a grab on that play, didn't get a look at it as we were in tight on Connor McGovern.
You know, for fans that haven't seen CD so far in camp, he's changed his body, he's added strength, he's added bulk, he's a slender-framed guy, but he has been so impressive in these practices. He and Trayvon Diggs, number 27, have had some nice battles. As we see Garrett Gilbert here once again.
They're working out of the shotgun a lot today, of course. There's a handoff to Zeke, who has a bit of a hole on the right side. Now, remember, it's a professional thud is what we've been told.
Yes.
No tackling, but that would have been a nice run because there was a hole and there was relatively no contact until he had gotten to the second level.
And another, if y'all haven't seen Zeke lately, man, fans, I mean, this guy's reshaped his body. He's around about 218, 220.
Yes.
Lost about 15 pounds, 20 pounds, and looking great. He's quick.
His lightest since Ohio State, man.
Yes, he's looking explosive, man. I just can't wait till the game starts.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Aaron Donald going up against Connor McGovern. This was what we were looking at earlier, and McGovern doing a really nice job.
Oh, yeah, he recovered. You see he get his head back up? You saw he got his head back up. He went arm over to the inside. He was able to keep his hands locked out and get his head back up and get his hips back in front of him.
That was one of the matchups we've been looking at throughout the day. Rams, Cowboys. We'll see Nate Newton coming up in just a little bit when we come back. Team Red Zone on the docket here from Oxnard.
Extra large. Sign up for my masterclass. Here we go, baby. Here we go. Go, 11. Rupert! Take the first 12.
So here on the internet side of things, Garrett Gilbert now running the quarterback spot, 11 on 11, and this is Team Red Zone. We're going to see about, it looks like we're going to have about 12 plays or so, and Zeke completed in the flat, trying to weave his way through the defense far side. We've got Nick Eatman up here, Rob Phillips as well, and we'll formally introduce him when we're back on the internet side of things. There's Terrell Henderson getting a carry, and once again stopped by Micah Parsons. Here's a look at Ezekiel Elliott getting some work in here during the SoCal Showdown, joint practice between the Los Angeles Rams and the Dallas Cowboys. We welcome you back into DallasCowboys.com's coverage. We've got Nick Eatman up here on the desk for the next 30 minutes, or excuse me, for the next hour. You're up here for the remainder of the show.
Do it.
Here's a look at a touchdown pitch and catch as Michael Gallup found his way free over the top of the defense. And we've also got Rob Phillips, but we're also pleased to be joined by Cowboys Vice President of Player Personnel, Will McClay, joins us now. Will, can you hear us okay?
I got you.
How's everything going throughout training camp so far?
It's good. It's training camp. It's a battle. It's a grind, but it's a necessary evil, and I think we're getting to see what guys can do. We got a quick dose of the Hall of Fame game, and then this today, so we get to see who'll compete.
How unique is a turnaround like that of having to play a preseason game on Thursday and then just about 36 hours later having to take on a team like the Rams in Oxnard?
It's a unique challenge. I think the fact that we had the guys, we were able to play the preseason game. We played the young guys, and now the veteran guys will get more work. So it's a good volume of work for us.
Will, we're watching the offense right now, but my question's about Micah Parsons for you, number 11. We've watched him line up everywhere here in training camp, and I know that's been in the plans for him, but are you surprised at how much he's put on his plate early and how he's looked?
He's handled it. It was a little bit of stress to see how much he can handle and what you concern yourself with a young guy is getting too much volume, but he's been able to handle it all, and he's made plays at every different spot. So we're going to continue to bring him along that way.
Will, is CD Lamb has made that jump from year 1 to year 2, like you guys talk about? It seemed like he looks like a sixth-year guy right now. He's so smooth. I mean, are you surprised at just how he has looked so far?
We got an alert from Dak early on that 88 was on a mission. And you can see that now. I mean, the determination that we saw in the offseason, and now we get competitive opportunities, and he's continuing to shine.
Will, whenever you look at guys like that, like CD Lamb, like Trayvon Diggs, who are trying to take that second-year jump, how much of an expectation do you put on those guys as a staff to not only come through with that, but even exceed some of those expectations sometimes?
Well, that's why they were drafted where they were, and that's what we expect them to do. And for us to get that return on investment and for us to grow as a team, those young guys have to jump up. We got to see that within the first couple of years.
I'm sticking with defense with you, Will, because I know you had 8 draft picks on that side of the ball. Who has stood out to you maybe besides Micah defensively in that first preseason game and some of these practices out here?
Well, it was really good to see the young defensive linemen in the preseason game, Osa, Bohanna, seeing those guys move around, seeing Nashawn Wright go and do some things, and Kelvin Joseph. So that first NFL opportunity, they were a little nervous, but then now they got used to the speed of the game. But it's been great to see those guys compete, and they're competing at a high level right now.
Hey, Will, obviously the Rams have a pretty good defensive tackle there in Aaron Donald. What is it like just to evaluate your team, Zach Martin and Connor Williams and Biotish against the guys like that and a line like that?
These are great opportunities for us to get more quality reps against other people. And when you're practicing against your own team, you begin to learn tendencies and all those deals. Now you're practicing against some of the best in the league, and we're getting an opportunity to evaluate and see where our guys are. And our guys learning what that next level is and what they have to get to, especially the young guys.
Will, it's been a lot of fun getting to catch up with you. Thank you for taking some time away from a practice like this and being able to kind of share your knowledge with some of the fans out there.
Thank you guys very much.
There he goes, Will McClay, Vice President of Player Personnel, joining us here on the SoCal Showdown. And Nick, Rob, we've got a full another hour of this, and everything from here on out is team drills. We're starting in the red zone for about 15 minutes here. It is red zone 1v1, or I guess 11v11, I should say. And we're taking another look here at this play where Garrett Gilbert under center, and then there's a completion on the far side. We're having to kind of air traffic control this a little bit back and forth. But what have you guys seen so far? Nick, you got a chance to really up close and personal get a look at practice. What have you seen out of the guys?
Well, I didn't see what was going on with the fight. I missed that part, but I did get a chance to get some good look of the team drills there. CD has the top 7 catches of training camp, but Maurice Kennedy just had the best defensive catch, obviously. You guys saw that, but I was right there by that, kind of upset that I didn't get my own camera for the video there. I thought the O-line, D-line drills were good. I thought the Cowboys offensive line did a nice job. Connor Williams especially, he did a really good job in one-on-one against Aaron Donald a couple of times. So that's going to be something they're going to be tested, and I thought in those individual drills they did a nice job.
Completion outside to the right. It was Bryce Perkins as the quarterback for the Rams, and he completed it to I believe I don't even know. I don't even have the roster in front of me. Yeah,
the Rams Showdown can take care of that.
Well, I was just saying because it was a play on the far side. But you've got here's the completion there from Hodges. Play action. Nobody around in the flat there, and it was against the Cowboys' #1 defense. Keona Neal was the first one that got in the vicinity. Looked like Cowboys 2 defense there. Ben DiNucci in the top left-hand corner. Lets that one fly to the end zone, batted away. Nice play defensively for the Rams.
And DiNucci's made some throws out here in red zone situations, fourth down situations. Had some tough moments in the preseason opener, but this is great work for him. And it doesn't appear, Nick, Cooper Rush is practicing today along with no Dak and throwing drills. So you got Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci taking all these reps today.
He's going to get a chance to sling it. You know, that's one thing we saw in the game the other day is that he kind of reverted back to a lot of his sidearm throws there. You know, that's just kind of a natural state that I think they want to kind of get rid of that, but you know, it's easier said than done.
He was a third baseman growing up, and he says he reverts back to that in some of those situations.
And it looked like he reverted back to it quite a bit on Thursday. Was under duress for much of the time that he was out there in the second half, played almost the entirety of the third and fourth quarters, and DiNucci, at least in that last throw that we saw to the back of the end zone, came over the top. It was more of what we've seen in Oxnard as opposed to what we've seen when he's in live action.
Right here at center there, Connor Williams, that's what we need to hopefully look at. But I mean, he's getting a chance to get some reps here, even though he's with the second team. He needs to improve the shotgun snaps and just getting more reps. But he told me after the game he loves it. Connor Williams, I love playing center. And here's a guy in a contract year, and you don't know what his future holds. And he's like, yeah, I'll switch positions. I'll do whatever's needed. So you love the attitude there.
Yeah, the more you can do, right? And you know, he's been the left guard and probably will remain there, but can play center as well. That's something they're looking for. Joe Looney moving on and now retiring apparently, so they need somebody to fill in that depth area.
And you have a lot of these reps have come with the quarterback under center, which is not a ton of what you get to look at with this offense, but in red zone work, there's no surprise. And there you go, see him handle somebody on the defensive end. That was Jonah Williams that Williams was going up against.
You know, he actually said the biggest thing at center is 90% of it is all pre-snap. It's just figuring out where the guys are going to be. And then he said after you get that snap, and then he kind of reverts back to everything else. But he said he's going to figure out a lot. He learns a lot more about the guard position just by a few snaps at center.
It's the same thing for Tyler Biotish, who's the penciled in right now as a starter at center. Didn't have as a rookie a full off season. It's so much of being a quarterback at the line of scrimmage pre-snap. You got to make all the adjustments for the line before the ball is snapped there.
Another great look. These are valuable reps for a guy like Connor Williams, who has not played center throughout his career. Got a couple of those looks on Thursday against the Steelers, but still limited in action. He's a starter. And so these are really going to be the best looks you'll see, and especially if he does end up going up against an Aaron Donald. Here's a look back over on field 2. And good run defense. It's something we saw from the Cowboys on Thursday. Brent Urban was in there, Leighton Vander Esch in there as well, Maurice Kennedy even in the mix, but held the Steelers, Rob, to 2.5 yards per carry on Thursday. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
That's the number one priority for this defense is stopping the run. Did not do that well enough last year. And really it affected the rest of the defense because play action comes into play, and they just really struggled getting off the field last year, as well as forcing takeaways until down the stretch. That's been the priority. You look at their free agent signings, you look at their draft picks, that's what they're trying to do first.
Garrett Gilbert and the first team offense back out there for the Cowboys. See Ty Inseki. Yeah, Ty Inseki is out there at the left tackle spot. Tony Pollard in at running back. A couple of the, I guess, not so first teamers. Here's a great look at C.D. Lamb. Man, what a camp he has had so far. Just a highlight reel catch. This is when you know the truck knows what they're doing. When you have a split screen on the same field because of what C.D. Lamb could do, that's the kind of attention you have to pay to number 88.
Just get a CD cam, right? Seriously, get his own camera.
This sounds great to me.
And the thing about it is we haven't even seen Amari Cooper out here yet. And not even Dak for a full training camp. This offense is not even full strength at this point. You think about what they can be when everybody's right, and the jump that you think 88 can make, Nick. It's exciting to think about.
Yep, there's Amari Cooper and Gallup, and yeah, I mean, those three guys are going to be just so tough to guard against, and especially when this offensive line, you know, gets back intact to block for them, like La'el Collins, and as we see right here, and of course Tyron Smith. But it was good to see La'el the other night just get a few reps and play and just kind of get back in it. I kind of thought they would hold him out, but they said, no, if you're ready to play, he needs football. He's been out a long time.
He looks really slim, I think, for La'el Collins' terms. He's not a slim individual by any stretch of the imagination, but compared to some of the shape that he's been in the past, he looks more football ready than I think any other year he's been in the league.
Leighton Vander Esch, too, as we see him, number 55, says he's cut out junk food. He's trying to get rid of junk food, take care of that diet, because he's got a big contract year coming up as well.
He got in there on the wide receiver sweep to Robert Woods, going from right to left, and Vander Esch was in there not only to slow down Woods with a nice little hip pump, but he actually made him stop running without tackling him. Here's another look at Lyle Collins and a handoff to Tony Pollard up in the top left-hand part of the screen. Back to field 2. Jalen Curse, Jalen Smith getting in there, and there's a little extra hit from Kazee over the top.
That's how it starts.
That is how it starts. You get a little extra elbow.
It's a little more than professional thud.
It's just a bit. Jalen Curse, before practice, of course, a free agent signee this offseason from Atlanta, going up against his defensive coordinator. Now, they're, of course, not on the same field, but his former defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, who took over for Dan Quinn in Week 6 of last year in Atlanta, they had a nice little conversation. Him and Keona Neal both had a conversation with Morris. Here's a handoff to Dowdle. Look at Aaron Donald in the backfield. My goodness, he blew up whatever play that was supposed to be. We may have to take a look at that offensive line again and see who that matchup was, but that's the defensive player of the year for you.
Yeah. As Nick told Will, he's a pretty good defensive tackle.
He's all right. There's Connor McGovern.
Yeah.
Not seeing Zeke in all of these drills. Maybe they're being careful with him in this practice.
Probably a good idea on
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
He's going to go nose to nose with Aaron Donald.
99's out there, 21. Hey, you can go.
Yeah.
You can go
Zeke's
take a
like,
seat.
are the starters out there? Oh, okay. I'm good.
Conversation with fifth-year head coach Sean McVay, Robert Woods. There's Zeke. 99's out there, though.
Let's see if Connor McGovern can redeem himself here.
Lob to the back of the end zone. Michael Gallup with the grab on Darius Williams.
That's 2 for Mike. That's 2 big catches so far in practice that we've seen.
Got both feet down, and Williams, not your average corner. I mean, this is a fourth-year guy that last year had 16 pass breakups, and Gallup went over the top of him and made a snag. That was a nice snag from Michael Gallup, and something that we haven't seen a whole lot through camp.
You know, Gilbert put a touch on a ball a couple days ago in practice, Nick, to CeeDee Lamb, only where he could go get it. I mean, I think Garrett Gilbert, as trying to win the backup job, has shown some good things early in camp, as we see Matt Stafford there.
And Jalen Smith on the other field, beat by Robert Woods, going on the out route. This is back to live action. Another lob to the back of the end zone, and Noah Brown couldn't get up to get it.
You know, that's something that, you know, you can put a nice play on by Diggs there. But going back to Jalen Smith, you know, if they're going to put Jalen Smith, they're going to get mixed up in coverages, and he's going to go up against Robert Woods, he's losing every time. And so that's on the scheme. That's on a good job by the Rams of kind of figuring that out. But Jalen Smith, you know, has a hard enough time with tight ends. In running backs, you can't go up against Pro Bowl type receivers.
Here's another look at the PBU from Trayvon Diggs. That was on Deshaun Jackson as well. Diggs heading into his second year, one of the guys that Will McClay just talked about, and he's already had a couple of PBUs. He's back out there again here. What have you seen, Nick, that has set Diggs above the rest of this secondary through camp so far?
Well, you know, he's a battler with CeeDee Lamb. He goes up against CeeDee every second, every play, you know, and he doesn't win them all. He wins some, but I just think, you know, he's such a competitor, and you know, we've said it so many times. He's going up against his older brother his whole life, so he's been playing cornerback against an NFL type player his whole life.
We just saw Tank Lawrence number 90. It reminds me of when Tank went against Tyron early in his career, didn't win a lot.
Yeah.
That's okay, because it's going to make Sundays easier, probably. You're not going to match up against many guys better than CeeDee Lamb at the cornerback position.
And to go back further, Tyron did the same thing against DeMarcus Ware. He couldn't. One year he just couldn't block him at all. It was like, this doesn't look good.
They love Trayvon's ball skills. Former wide receiver. He told me he got his hands on 14 balls last year, only picked off 3. They think he can get more than that this year.
There's a look at Dak Prescott having a conversation with some of the coaching staff, and exactly what it means for him to be back out here, I think, is something that's special for this entire roster. He's having fun with it. You know, he wants to be back out in the mix of things, but having number 4 on the field is certainly a lot better than it was a year ago, and we're still through the early parts of this practice, and we've got more big-time drills coming up. The next one up is team third down. So we've got about 10 minutes of third down work where you'll see 4 plays from the starters, you'll see 4 from the second and third string guys, and then back to the starters again as we're in the TV timeout period of this. Back to Trayvon Diggs in this defense, Nick. We talked about it a little bit earlier with guys like Micah Parsons and, of course, Trayvon Diggs. But some of those veterans have to step up this year.
Yeah.
Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, they're heading into years where there's a lot of pressure on both of those guys to find a way to get it done.
You know, you ask the Cowboys to commit to the defense, to draft high, to use those resources, and that's what they've done. They've done it with linebacker. They've done it here with cornerback, defensive tackle, taking these second, third-round picks, even first-rounders. But then they have to play. Like you said, it's one thing to draft them, but Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, Trayvon Diggs, they have to play like that. They have to take it to that next level. I think Diggs will. The question is going to be about the linebackers. Can they do that? But they put in the resources. Now it's time to kind of get the payoff for those investments.
More action. Here's team third down. 4 different plays from the first team to try and convert. Garrett Gilbert out to his right. There's CeeDee Lamb squeezing through the secondary. That would have been a first down. Let's say that as much.
So smooth. He's just, that's the only way to really say it. You know, he's taken that leap that we always talk about it, but he's just, it looks effortless. Now, the one thing that I haven't seen a lot of CD this camp is just the straight deep ball. You know, just beating guys deep. Now, he'll jump up over guys and all that and catch those bubble screens. Can y'all remember a lot of just straight, 9-route type?
There was one 2 days before the opener with Garrett Gilbert. It was Trayvon Diggs, beat him down the field, right over his shoulder directly, perfect play. But I think, that's what he can give you in addition to being a possession guy too.
Had a nice play there from DeMonte KZ on field 2 defensively. They went back to CeeDee Lamb on field 1. There you see Dak Prescott having a little conversation with Lamb. That's going to be a relationship that's going to continue to grow over the years as well.
This has got to drive Dak nuts not to be out here right now. He loves the competition. Even if this is not fully live, this is the kind of stuff he loves here.
And Mickey made a really good point about this earlier, but this is really the Rams defense in 2020 was the only defense that really slowed down Dak Prescott prior to the injury in Week 5.
53 sacks a year ago. I mean, we saw those one-on-one drills a minute ago with the Cowboys offensive line. That's great work. You talk about Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers. It's a talented group. Maybe the best in the NFC West.
Dak was sacked 3 times in Week 1 last year by this Rams defense. 266 yards through the air and only 1 touchdown. So pretty much held in check before Dak really went off the next 4 games prior to the injury Week 5 against the New York Giants. However, here's Lyle Collins getting a one-on-one look of him against Aaron Donald. This will be fun. Donald now rushing off the edge here. Let's see what Collins can do. Garrett Gilbert is back in the shotgun. It looked like Donald got a slow start. Now Gilbert releases it over the middle, completed to CeeDee Lamb. And there's what you were talking about, Nick. Not necessarily the deep ball, but he's about as smooth as he can be within 20 yards.
Well, the thing about it is if he puts that in his game, and we've seen it, but I mean, all it takes is 1 or 2 of those deep throws. You don't even have to complete them. You just have to get by the defense. That lets everybody know that that's what you've got, and then that's where you can go underneath, and those stop routes will be even more effective if you know that the deep threat is there. I mean, I'm sure Deshaun Jackson has done that for years of just those stop routes because you know that he can go over the top.
It was a nice look at the Cooper Kupp reception on Anthony Brown. Brown has had his fair share of struggles throughout the course of today's game. Rico Dowdle getting a nice carry off into the left, but he was met really in the flats before he could get that rep done. There's Matthew Stafford. This might be the only look that Rams fans get of Matthew Stafford throughout the preseason. Lets this one fly deep downfield. Jordan Lewis was in coverage, and there's Deshaun Jackson.
And there was number 11, Micah Parsons, right in the backfield. That was a sack. That was a sack.
Now, a lot of I'm one of those. I'm like the police on that. Just because you touched him doesn't mean it's a sack. But I thought Mike was sitting there eating a sandwich, just waiting a little bit until he threw it. I think that would have been a sack.
That's awesome to see.
So you got the slinger here.
Yep. It was over the top. Completed far side to Simi Fehoko, the 5th-round wide receiver out of Stanford. I think that was a great point, bringing it back up on the defensive side of Micah Parsons. A lot of his flash plays, quote-unquote, throughout camp haven't even been official flash plays because he hasn't had a chance to take down a quarterback yet.
Yeah. He's so active, and you know he wants to get there and mix it up, and it's just hard in practice, and even in something like this, he's not going to hit players. And I think week 3, week 4 of this regular season, he's going to absolutely take off. He might have a couple early games that might not be exactly what we think, but I bet you by mid-season he is going to be just, I think a defensive rookie of the year candidate. I think he'll be mixed in there. I just think he's just such just kind of a well-oiled machine. I mean, he really is, and it's amazing because he hadn't played football in so long.
There he is talking to George Edwards, the senior defensive assistant, helping with the linebackers, and he's always talking to either George or Dan Quinn, somebody about everything that's on his plate. And we mentioned his coverage earlier. That may be the one thing coming out of college where he could really work on that. But the pass rush that we just saw, that's the kind of impact stuff he could do definitely right off the bat as a blitzer.
DiNucci almost throws that one for an interception. Chris Garrett came over the middle and knocked that one away. And you like the initial rollout and the confidence of Ben DiNucci to get mobile and kind of go to the sideline, but you got to make a better throw.
Yeah, I turned my head to see it kind of from the end zone view, and as he's rolling right, I'm like, don't throw it, don't throw it back over. And, of course, I didn't really see. It was a lot of people, but you said it was almost intercepted.
Almost intercepted.
Usually when they roll out like that, not a lot of great things happen unless you're Joe Montana against the Cowboys.
That's a good point.
I think he was throwing
the catch was pretty good.
I think he was throwing it away anyways.
Zach Martin, Lyle Collins on that offensive line, throwing to the near sideline for Michael Gallup. And a little bit overthrown there by Garrett Gilbert. Gallup seeing a couple extra snaps today. He was one of the few wide receivers that were out there on Thursday. Didn't see a ton of action, but what do you expect to see from Gallup this season?
Well, I think a lot of times we see these guys in these contract years, they have really big seasons. But, I think it's going to have to – I think there'll be games where he'll have 150 yards, maybe big game, and then he could have 37. That's just the way it works with this offense.
Zach Martin against Aaron Donald, top left-hand corner of your screen. Donald and Biotish, I believe.
Yep, combo blocks. And we've seen that over the years. The playoff game a couple years ago, and Zach has held his own against Aaron Donald, which that's great if you can do that.
Yeah, but double teams, that's the norm when it comes up against him. You just kind of throw him off to another guy. You have to. Now, Connor Williams, on a couple of those one-on-one drills, I thought he did a nice job with him. And if you go back to that playoff game, he actually did a pretty good job against him on that day.
Yes,
Connor did. I think it was Zach that had a little bit more of the issues. Zach had more issues with big guy,
Rockers.
Sue.
Yeah,
Sue. Yes.
Big guy.
There's Tyler Biotish. Look at him one-on-one. Looks like LA was going to bring something up the middle. It was Sebastian Joseph Day. Now a throw over the middle. Great coverage from Jalen Ramsey on Gallup that time. Ramsey wearing number 5, making the switch from number 20. A couple Rams making the single-digit switch. We haven't gotten a chance to talk about Jalen Ramsey and just how encouraging, or not even really encouraging, but beneficial it is for some of these receivers, Rob, to go up against a guy of his caliber.
Without question. I mean, in terms of big, physical, in your face, and really can cover any type of wide receiver, he fits that bill. And there was question coming out, is he a corner, is he a safety? That was part of the discussion in 2016, whether the Cowboys could potentially take him or Zeke. It's worked out well for every team that's had Jalen Ramsey, obviously Zeke as well here in Dallas.
They called that play dead before it was completed to Gallup. Ramsey didn't even move, and he was still kind of in coverage. There's Randy Gregory. Got a chance to talk to Randy beforehand. Here's another look of his last play. Kind of got stood up that time. Both him and Odigizua held in check. But he said his dad's in attendance, sitting in the VIP section. He said, hey, I've got to have a good practice. My dad's watching.
Nick and I were here in 2015 when he was a rookie. It was a joint practice with the Rams that ended early. But it was, but his body, the way he looks now, in terms of the strength he's added, the weight he's added, he looks like a different player out here in his whatever is going to be his 6th season in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you say 6th season. Yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of stops and goes. Is that McEwen? Nice catch. Well, he's certainly having a good camp in preseason. But yeah, back to Gregory. I think that you're right. I mean, he's just matured so much. It seems like both as a player, but also you hope as a person as well. And he just seems very humbled at this to have this opportunity. And I love the fact that he says, I haven't done anything. I I mean, I have a contract year coming up, but I haven't done anything. So, you know, the potential is there, but for him, he knows that there's still a lot still on the table.
Yeah, I think that is a fun matchup between Andrew Whitworth and Randy Gregory that is a little bit undersung. Be sure to download the Cowboys Now app to get the latest news and analysis throughout training camp and the season. Download now on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. We're going to step aside. More 11-on-11 action in the SoCal Showdown. More Randy Gregory when we return.
Let's go TV timeout. You got 2 minutes. TV timeout. Team move the ball coming up in 2 minutes.
I plan on bringing a lot of, electric plays, a boost of energy to the offense, and, overall just competitiveness.
We continue on with more coverage of the SoCal Showdown from Oxnard, California. Kyle Yeomans alongside Nick Eatman, back joined by 6-time Pro Bowler and Super Bowl champion Nate Newton. As we get back to the 11-on-11, and we've been bouncing back and forth between one field and the other field, Nick. And there's Tony Pollard. What do you expect out of him this season?
Well, I expect him to try to get a little bit more versatile in the passing game. They used him at receiver some in the offseason when receivers were down. So I think that they're going to just try to be creative and find packages for him. He'll be a runner to spell Zeke at times, but I think if they want to be really dynamic, they can figure out ways to get them both out there.
There's a long completion to Deshaun Jackson over the top of Trayvon Diggs, and that was Donovan Wilson also in coverage. And there was just a pocket of room there for Deshaun Jackson, and a pretty ball from Matthew Stafford. On the other screen, it was a run from Ezekiel Elliott as we get another look here on the replay from Stafford's long completion.
Yeah, that's what you want to have. You either want him streaking across the field where he can get separation, or you want him going straight down the field. He's a vertical guy, but if you could do a lot of the crossing routes, which the Rams do, that is a good thing for him.
There's Garrett Gilbert directing traffic back in the shotgun. He was under center during the last play. Just a quick drop, looks over the middle, and completes it to Noah Brown.
Good protection, good pickup by the back there, too.
Stafford looks like he wants to change things up at the line of scrimmage. Stafford having a conversation with his head coach as we take another look at the Noah Brown reception.
Yes, see where the back came up there, got a good block.
Like that ball might have been tipped at at the line as well. Noah Brown trying to make this team have to have a couple good practices put together. Had a nice day the other day against the Steelers as well. Gilbert under center. Hands it off, and he's met quickly.
Where'd it go?
Rico Dowdle on the carry, and he was met immediately behind the line of scrimmage by Kenny Young.
So was that Kevin Connor at the center, 52?
It was Connor Williams at center.
I think it's honestly.
Is it still Tyler Biadasz?
This is in there. This is the first team O-line. This is as much the first team as you're going to get, other than Dak and
Amari Cooper.
And Amari Cooper, because Zeke's out there.
Tyron Smith's out there as well.
Jarwin, yeah.
I think they just came in.
Hand off to Zeke as he wants to go to the left side, gets to the corner. There you see some of the explosiveness from Zeke Elliott.
That's what 20 pounds less will do to you. Yes, it will.
Do you believe that, Nick?
That.
Do you believe that he's 20 pounds lighter from what you've seen?
Me?
Yes.
I don't think he's 20. He doesn't look 20 pounds lighter to me, but I mean, still, it could be a difference of, even 10 to 12 can be a difference for him. It's just all about, you got to be agile and quick, and I just think for him, his confidence has got to get back to where it was before, and that shouldn't be a hard thing with him, but I do think he's going to be running with that swag that we saw early in his career.
Got a good look at the run defense from the Cowboys going up against the Rams, and Justin Hamilton with a nice stop at the line of scrimmage, or at least a contact with the running back. Stafford with a handoff to Henderson, and then offsides on the top left-hand corner. Two fields, Cowboys offense on field 1. That's the closest to the fans here in Oxnard. And then here's field number 2 with the defense. Henderson, the running back 1, met quickly by Keona Neal, who threw a shoulder into Henderson. Neal, a hard-hitting linebacker now, who made the switch from safety. But Dan Quinn even said, hey, I kind of tricked him into thinking he was a safety when he really played linebacker.
Bad messed up game there.
It could have been a sack.
Yeah, could have been. That was a sack. Either a hurry. Bad game right there between your right guard and right tackle there. The guardsman picked off the tackle and freed up the end to get to the inside.
Here's Henderson. He had a huge hole that time, untouched all the way down to about the 10-yard line. They're starting at the 45 at the moment. This is basically move the ball down the field for both teams, and this is exactly what Mike McCarthy was talking about. He wanted to see from guys like Garrett Gilbert. You want to see an opportunity to move the ball. Now it is Connor Williams in it at center.
Yes, it is.
Zach Martin to his right, Brandon Knight is the right tackle. Play action. Steps up into the pocket, over the top, trying to find Noah Brown in coverage, and was batted away.
Nice job by Gilbert. Pocket presence. All it is just a couple of inches stepping up like that, but it's a big difference in Stafford's pocket.
Stafford still got that on, man. You saw him right. Boy, he still got that on. That's a dangerous arm.
Thumb problem, too.
Yeah, man. Look how he rifled this in there.
And Diggs with a PBU.
Yes, sir.
Look at him right here. Just great coverage. Knocking that away from Van Jefferson, the second-year man out of Florida. Those are 2 second-year guys, both drafted in the second round last year. Jefferson taking just a couple spots after Trayvon Diggs. Diggs went at 51, Jefferson went at 57. Handoff again to,
good
that
move.
time it was Brendan Knox.
On the bottom screen, good move by Connor Williams there, good block. Keep going back to the middle of the line for some reason. I can't control myself.
Well, that's what, 1, you played, and 2, that's a great matchup against the Rams.
Yeah.
I don't blame you for going to the interior.
Your eyes just automatically go there when you're watching a game.
Yeah. Deion say you're middle soft anyway, so.
Now I know. Whenever we're watching games together, you're going to say, who caught that ball? Now I know why I get asked that question.
Not even paying attention.
Yeah.
That's okay. There's so many people out there that just follow the ball, so you got to have Nate tell you who had the block.
Ooh, little sidearm completion to Jeremy Sprinkle. That time, the sidearm kind of paid off.
That's when you need it. Yeah, that was a little tricky.
When you look up and you see Justin Lawler just barreling down on you, and then kind of fit it underneath his armpit. A little fancy from Ben DiNucci. Now that's the one time that you kind of want to see the sidearm as well.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's
Reggie
good.
Davis in there for that quarterback now.
Well, Reggie Davis plays for the Cowboys. It's Bryce Perkins.
I've got 2 rosters.
You're good. Bryce Perkins in at quarterback for the Rams. There's Ben DiNucci in at quarterback for Dallas. A completion inside of 10 yards to it's Nick Eubanks. Undrafted free agent out of Michigan.
Big man, 47.
Yeah, both him, Artavius Lynn, the undrafted free agent out of TCU, and then Jeremy Sprinkle, who, of course, went to Arkansas and played in the league for a couple of years. All 3 very big bodies at tight end. But right now it looks like a 3-man race in that category with, of course, Blake Jarwin making his return, Dalton Schultz after his 2020 season, and then Sean McCune's had a nice play. How about Jalen Smith? And he thought about swiping, didn't swipe. That's significant. He made a play, and then he pretended he was going to swipe and then didn't do it. I wonder if that's a sign of things to come.
Oh, fake swipe. Okay.
Watch this. We'll see it again. He got in here, blew up the play. Perfect read from Jalen. Watch.
Yeah, it's like our number 99 Hamilton got a quick escape to the inside.
Did you see the fake?
Yeah, he's been told, hey, chill out on that, probably.
It was a nice play,
I was watching the other field where DiNucci had a nice throw, and it was a drop from over the middle by Mitchell, 14.
Going back to that field, and Brennan Knox met in the backfield. Nowhere to go because Jonah Williams was all up in his grill. Back behind the line of scrimmage. Brennan Knox, the undrafted free agent from Marshall.
Good scrimmage so far,
Nate,
man.
when you did this, you guys might have already talked about this. You practice against other teams. How do you get told, hey, no fights? But how do you kind of balance that when it's like, well,
just let Kevin Gogan do all the fighting. They told Kevin, Jimmy was used to grab Gogan's face mask before practice. No fighting, Kevin. One series in. Kevin's over there fighting coach. So, especially against the Raiders.
Gogan might have been the only player I've ever seen in a fight in the total. Right. So, if that's going to happen, they're always going to fight.
Yeah, he was going to fight, man.
And reports are coming out about the little scuffle we had earlier in practice, and it looks like it was Aaron Donald and Connor Williams that got into it. Like you said, that is a perfect
set right there. Wow.
What have you seen, Nate, talking offensive line, from Terrence Steele heading into year number 2 after he was put into really emergency duty a year ago?
He's a guy, man. He rebuilt his body a little bit. He looks a little bit different. He looks a little bit stronger, but he still has to get arm strength. He still has to bring a punch. And if he can get confidence in his punch, the strength will come. A lot of times he just lays his arms out there. Look how long them things are, man. If he just take in his mind to get his timing, bend a little bit more at the knees, and put them hands in the middle of a chest or to the nearest point, you can't get around him. He's long everywhere. He's what Coach McCarthy wants, but he's got to get confidence and believe in his strength.
Former Steelers backup Duck Hodges back out there at quarterback for the Rams. Lyle Collins back in at right tackle. Tyler Biadasz at center.
Good set.
Go outside to Tony Pollard, who has some blockers. Able to get to the near sideline. Tiptoes his way down right in front of our camera operator. Oh, and there's some fight. There's a punch thrown. Had a great look at it. It was 41. Kenny Young came over the top of Pollard and threw hands into the face mask. Pollard with a reaction and a great job from whoever was around him to slow down Pollard, because that could have turned into something bigger.
41. There's names for that, and we probably don't throw it in there. If you're gonna throw punches, stay in there. Don't throw a punch and run like that.
It's the same box now. Ain't a counter punch.
Well,
that was a run punch. Look at this man. Come on, man. Yeah.
He's holding.
Right.
Let him go. Little shove, and that was. That's a full closed fist punch. And Sean McVay getting in the middle of it. Jalen Ramsey was there.
Why is Sean McVay stopping Pollard? Stop your own guy.
That never works that way. That never works.
He might have looked at it and said, okay, from a size standpoint, who do I have a shot at maybe stopping?
Right.
Maybe Pollard. I'm more worried about, was that our camera guy that got hit like that? That's what
I think so. Yeah, that's our guy. It might have been Alex Lilly down there. He does a great job with the handheld.
He's hanging in there. Sure we'll hear about that later.
Oh, I'm sure. Rico Dowdle with a run. There was a incompletion far side. Diggs was in the vicinity on the defensive field. Lots of great reps back and forth, and we've got about 18 minutes left or so of what has been a really complete practice. Nate, you mentioned it earlier. I thought you had a great point of saying it has been, outside of a couple scuffles.
Yes.
It's been a clean practice, and it's been a very productive one at that.
Definitely, because you need to see players getting reps. You need to see where these young guys at, where a guy like Lyle Collins was sitting at the right tackle right there. Let's see where he's at. Let's see, can he get through a practice, continue to bend his hip, continue to bend his knees, to get through this thing. Same with Smith. We want to see these guys bend. We want to see these guys hit. We want to see them against other people. You know who your people are. Gregory knows Tyron Smith, so they know each other's moves. But these guys they're rushing against now, the Williams of the world, the Floyds of the world, they bring a different game and a different speed. It's like we just saw that number 41, what he tried to do. Yeah. So we looking here, man. Guys, you can't afford to let your guard now. And believe me, coaches are looking at film. They may see something they like here.
Or something they don't like at the same time. Goes both ways as there's a handoff to Pollard. Another good hole opened up by the offensive line again.
Definitely well blocked.
And then a sack from Osa Odighizuwa on the other side. So back-to-back plays on both fields going in favor of the Cowboys. Gregory really set the edge, and Osa Odighizuwa took advantage.
You're right about that. Gregory did a nice job. Sometimes, to me, that's what, we'll go back to the offensive side here. This is a great block there. I think, was that Inseki on that left side?
I believe so.
Tell you what, man.
But setting the edge.
Explosion of that kid.
Here's the defensive look.
See, that's a disciplined play out of Gregory. That, to me, and this goes back to your day, that reminds me of a Tony Tolbert type of play where I'm going to be strong enough, set this thing. You're not going to get outside, and then somebody else can kind of get through the middle and clean it up.
Gilbert back in the shotgun. Lyle Collins is back out at right tackle. That's significant. You might hear me say that a couple times. It's because he's getting valuable reps.
Yeah. You didn't say it last year.
No, not at all. There's Zeke catching the edge on the counter.
So Zeke was probably, I'm saying Zeke was closer to 240. You saying he was closer to 235?
No. I was just thinking he's the pads and everything. He's still so bulky. Yeah. But it's all about the movement, and the movement looks better. So you can be 290 as long as you can move. It doesn't matter to me.
Who you talking to?
I was just saying.
I was 330.
Right. But you probably said, okay, Jimmy, to me, does it matter?
No, that was Jimmy's over me. He said, as long as you can come in and move, you're going to be all right with me.
I mean, that was a pretty average run for Zeke, and he still got about 9 yards out of it. Here's a long throw for Garrett Gilbert trying to find Cedric Wilson. Good coverage from the Rams, but I thought Wilson might have had a step.
Yeah, I think you got to be more aggressive there. You got to go up and get it. I think he was just thinking he's out there running pitch and catch. I mean, that corners knocked the ball out too. I think that's one you got to go get it.
Play action from Stafford. He'll step up into the pocket, lets it fly near side to Cooper Kupp, who is chased down by Jalen Smith and Darian Thompson.
It's good ground covered there by Jalen.
Jalen's had probably the best practice that I've seen today that he's had throughout Oxnard.
I think so, which is good because, the energy's high and, this is what you want. You want people to be gamers. If he's going to have his best one, it should be today.
Absolutely, and Rico Dowdle met by the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald. My goodness. He's a treat to watch, but you wish he was on your team a little bit more than maybe the other.
You automatically go up 6 places if you had this guy on your defense.
Goodness gracious, he is unstoppable. There's Jalen Smith defensively.
Who does he compare to in your day?
No one. This dude is unique, man. The closest thing I've seen.
Talking about Aaron Donald.
Yeah, Aaron Donald.
Was Jerome Brown, but Jerome Brown didn't have the quickness this guy has.
Yeah.
At the size that he's at. Yeah, so.
Aaron Donald on the Rams side. That's their guy. Might have a new one for the Cowboys, the new guy, I should say. There's Micah Parsons, and that's exactly who I was alluding to. Cowboys rookie, drafted 12th overall. Here he goes back in coverage. And looked like he might have lost his man there. Not sure if that was his assignment or not, but the ability to go back in coverage was something that was a knock against him throughout the draft process. But throughout camp, he's looked like he's been able to do a pretty nice job of it.
Yeah, I think he's just been so impressive with all the different places that he's lined up. his head's got to be spinning. But he looks like, he just got those ball instincts, and maybe this wasn't the best play to show that, because I think he might have, like you said, lost his man. He didn't seem happy about it, but for the most part, he's done a really, really nice job in this camp.
So I like it, man. I like it.
We've got a break at the moment. We may be a little bit done early with practice. It'll give us an opportunity to say, get the ultimate fan experience for the ultimate Cowboys fan. Join Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, starting at just $20. Join now and get your fan pack, exclusive access to training camp benefits, and more. Visit DallasCowboys.com/United for details to join today. We are still going on field 2, and Jordan Lewis almost had an interception. Was in the right spot at the right time, and he's hearing it from his teammates and from his coaching staff at the same time. Taking another look. Good rush from the defensive line as well.
Tell you what, if Jordan Lewis just play his assignment, do what he's supposed to do, he can be one hell of a slot cornerback for us. When he get to roaming and get to thinking for himself, bad things happen. This kid, if he just stay within his game, and they're going to give him simple packages, stay within it. He got enough talent to be a bigger than average slot corner.
Doing some push-ups there. We've seen that from a couple of the secondary guys throughout training camp so far. Whenever they don't make a play, not even a good play, but if they bat down a ball they should have intercepted, they'll do push-ups.
Yeah. We used to talk about that all the time. We don't need the clappers. Don't clap it. Don't snap your fingers or do push-ups. Let's just make the play. But it's good that he recognizes that. But yeah, like you said, he needs to make some plays. And I'll tell you, he's got a little bit of competition, because Maurice Kennedy is also showing himself in the slot. He made one of the greatest catches we've seen here at camp. So I think that's a good sign for him.
I think that's one of the takeaways, is we saw some highlight plays from the offense, but once again, and this has been one of the storylines, even heading into the preseason game on Thursday, the defense has been ahead. The defense looks changed. And I think today proved that, because the defense made just as many plays as the offense did.
I agree with you 100%. Guys out there running around, they have simplified the offense. And I don't want to say that in the wrong and negative way. I think they have put things in that fits the player. They're finally, what they tried to do last year was fit the scheme to the player. Well, they'll fit the scheme to the players. The players are confident. When you have confident players, simplified or complex, these guys run to the ball. They play faster. They're more athletic now. They're more longer. So you got great guys doing a great job. Coaches put them in great positions, Nick.
I thought, overall, I thought it was a good, solid practice. It was good energy all the way around. I mean, I think the defense is always going to be ahead of the offense. So the defense might have been ahead of, the Cowboys' offense, and probably ahead of the Rams' offense as well.
Good point.
But I thought it was good competition, good clean. A little bit of skirmish here, but they got to get good work, good fans participation out here. So I mean, this seemed like a great success today.
Yeah, about 3,000 fans in attendance today. A little bit more than that, I think, overall. And they got a good look at some of the youth. There's two of the guys, Parsons and Lamb, and you got to see Aaron Donald come in and make a couple of plays. Plenty of preseason action to come. Next one up for the Cowboys Friday against the Arizona Cardinals. That one in Glendale. That'll be the one of the first tests as we get a couple looks at some of the guys having fun with the camera. But that's going to be a fun one against Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, and a preview of a regular season opponent in the preseason. We saw that a couple years ago as well. Then they'll go on Saturday to take on, or 2 Saturdays from today, taking on the...
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys.
August 29th against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that'll be a lot of fun. You can join us on a couple different broadcasts for that one, as DallasCowboys.com coverage will continue on there. But Dak Prescott not a part of this. Hopefully he's ready for the season opener. That is the thought process at the moment for the Dallas Cowboys. But Nate, what are your biggest takeaways from a practice like this and from what was a very competitive one?
Reps, especially for our youth. We got a bunch of first and second year guys, and we signed a lot of free agents. We needed these reps. We had great reps against Pittsburgh. We have great reps today. The atmosphere was great. The coaches were flying around. Guys seem to be knowing what they're doing for the most part. Like you said, our defense played it clean today. They played it clean and they played it smart, so I'm happy about that.
Do you think, Nick, whenever it comes to this defense, how big of a jump could they make? Because you're not necessarily thinking about being the 31st defense in the NFL going to 1, 2, or 3. But what is a realistic expectation to maybe make a jump to?
Well, is Tyron healthy? Is Dak healthy? Or if these offensive linemen are healthy? And I know you said defense, but if this offense is as dominant as it should be and could be, then the defense can go all the way up into the top half. It could be up in the 15. It can be, because the offense needs to take care of them. If the offense can do that, take care of their defense. I mean, to me, this is an offensive football team, but the defense can benefit from that, and I think that they will. That they've got to be opportunistic. They've got to be able to get interceptions, get fumbles, turnover, sacks, all that stuff. But if they can play with leads and thanks to the offense, I think this can be a top 15 defense.
That's a really good point, because it's not all on the defense. Last year, one of the biggest things was turnovers early. As we take a look at some offensive highlights, Zeke had 6 of those fumbles. He looks like he had a chip on his shoulder throughout the offseason. He had a really good practice today, probably the most action we've seen from Ezekiel Elliott throughout the course of training camp early on.
I just want to expand on what Nick is saying, and I've been saying this for the last 2 years, but due to injuries, we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
If we can control the ball 31 minutes per game, that puts us up in the top half, like Nick says. But it also, you have a fresh defense. You have a defense with a new attitude. When you have a fresh defense, now turnovers come. And the last half of the year with those young guys, they got a few turnovers, and you saw how it changed around our defense. And I'm predicting the same thing. If Kellen Moore, Dak, and our head coach say, hey, we got to control the ball. We got to play better situation of football. This defense will come up into the middle half.
Yeah, and the key is really going to be, we saw Thursday night in Canton, the key is going to be this offensive line and this running game. It's cool. First and goal at the 7, that's great. What happens then? Because you run the ball for 1 yard, now that doesn't help you. You get to run it on first down and get to the 3, get to the 2. Now that changes the whole set of the offense, and that's when. And Mike McCarthy said it 2 weeks ago. We need to run the ball when they know we're going to run the ball, and that's all about will. That's all about pushing people around. I'm sitting next to a guy that used to do that, made a living off doing that, and then knowing, hey, they know we're going to run it, and Moose is going to run it right behind me, and then comes Emmett, and you're not going to do anything about it. That's what this offensive line needs to get back to, is shoving people around and pushing the pile more.
It seems like, go for it, Nate.
As big as it was for Dak, we cannot replace him. But those 3 studs we lost the offensive line, we could not replace them. I think Coach Philbin did a hell of a job. Last year. But what he was working with was guys that are swing guards, swing tackles, and career backups. He did a hell of a job, but it won't ever replace those 3 guys we had.
It definitely seems like there's a bit of swagger put right back into the middle of that offense whenever those 3 guys are available. Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, and then you mix in Connor McGovern, Tyler Biotish. They're building confidence as well. I think we saw that a lot from Connor Williams. But what about the defensive side of the football? That was a big point this offseason, was to find a way to build confidence defensively, and we saw some more of that today, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, they made some plays there. You see Micah Parsons in coverage. We know what he's going to do flying around the ball. Randy Gregory there breaking through, actually. This I thought was the best play, the interception by Kennedy, because he was going against his body, and he just the alert and awareness there of kind of anticipating where this ball might be, and his body momentum was going a different way. He's made a lot of plays here at camp.
If you can get Bohannon, you can get Hamilton, you can get number 75, OSA, well, I can't pronounce
Osa Odigizua, my friend.
If these 3 guys play, and Urban play, and all of these guys get it, and we stop the middle and make it where people can have less than 110 yards per rushing as a total team, this thing would change our defense. I talked to Coach Quinn, and that's what he expects from these young guys. Yeah. No, you're not a pass rush. You're not playing in pass situation. Your job is to eat up bodies so our linebackers can run and be free. And if they can do that, man, things will happen.
That's what I was going to say. Everything's a domino effect. Just like we said, the offense will help the defense. That O-line will help. The linebackers will make a lot more plays if the guys you just talked about, the Bohannas and Urbans and Watkins and Osa, and we didn't take Neville Gallimore. He might be one of the best, most talented. Tristan Hill could come back into the mix. So, that's a good thing there. You want that stud player. Obviously, you'd love an Aaron Donald.
Sure.
But
anybody would.
They don't have that, but they have a kind of a mix of guys that if they do take an injury, then they can kind of withstand it, because it seems like the talent level on the defensive tackles are all pretty similar.
Yeah, don't miss your chance to see that new Cowboys defense and the Cowboys in general at AT&T Stadium this season. A limited number of single-game, standing-room-only tickets are on sale now. Get yours today at DallasCowboys.com/tickets. It's been a lot of fun. 2 hours of straight football, and it was two fields going at the same time. It was like juggling multiple games and going back and forth. I think the team benefited from it, the coaching staff as well, and we've got more football coming your way on DallasCowboys.com throughout the preseason. Next one coming up next Friday, the 13th, against Arizona on the road. A ton of fun still to be had here on DallasCowboys.com. But for Nate Newton, Nick Eatman, Mickey Spagnola, David Hellman, and Rob Phillips, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Oxnard, California. Hope you enjoyed the SoCal Showdown.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!